Coming up, the best of Rob and Blakey's Commentary Box podcast. And as if by magic, the very person we've been talking about is joining us now. Jess Fishlock, still playing for Wales at the moment.
The Queen of Welsh football.
The Queen of Welsh football. How are you, Jess?
I'm all right. How are you guys?
Well, a little disappointed, a little sad because, you're leaving, you're hanging up the boots and what have you. But
yeah, I am.
Proud, though, at the same time of what you've achieved and what you've done. How you feeling about it, Jess? Because you gave us a sort of an exclusive last time. You weren't sure.
You said you decided and then you changed your mind.
Yeah.
That was before the Euros.
I did.
Yeah.
And now you've done it.
Yeah, I decided, and then post Euros, I'd changed my mind, and then I'd come back around to the original decision. But no, I'm excited. It's super fun to be on camp and have this last kind of moment with all the girls, obviously, because I feel like the Euros, everything was so rushed and had to go straight back to club and really couldn't have much time with everybody to say my thank you. So just kind of ready for it now.
Now it's out there, Jess. Now the decision has been made. Have you had any thought of regrets, or will that come Saturday at 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock, or what?
No. If anything, it's been the opposite. Just some relief.
I was gonna say relief. That's the
and then just enjoyment, really, of getting to play one last time. I think is just such an incredible moment.
Do you look when you say relief there? I remember thinking it's one less thing now I have to do, not because I don't love doing it, but if I'm trying to extend my career here as just playing, right? I can't have it all, right? Something's got to give.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm tired now, and my body hurts a lot longer than it used to, especially over this last kind of 9 months, I'd say. And I just, I just can't do it anymore.
Simple.
I'd love to be able to, but I'm just, it takes me so long to recover from games that something got to give, like you said, and it has to be this.
So we've got young Bryony in the studio. She's a singer, by the way, Jess. She's got an album coming out and everything. Nice. She's got a question for you, yeah.
Yeah, so I was going to ask, how would you like to be remembered?
Oh, thank you. Great question. I think, honestly, I would just like to be remembered as somebody that, gave their everything for their nation, had a lot of pride and respect as a Welsh woman, and helped kind of create what we have for women's football right now. That's really all I would like to be remembered for.
Thank you.
And your legacy is like global, Jess, right? So have you given any thought to what you're going to do as far as Wales is concerned after? Because I'm calling for like global ambassador so you can get around the world and all that. And you're going to need two people to take the notes for you.
I want your air miles, Jess. I want to share your air miles, please.
He's always thinking selfishly, isn't he?
You're funny,
What do you
you
think?
are.
What's going to happen afterwards, Jess? What do you
No, of course. Listen, I would love to find ways to give back to not just to the FAW, but to like I say, Wales. Like I'm such a proud Welsh person, and any way I can give back to this country for what Wales has given me over the years, I would happily do.
Any interest in coaching, management, etc.?
No, not immediately. No, not for me right now. I think when all is said and done, I'll just take some time, and enjoy my life. I'm just really looking forward to starting my life in a different way now. Starting my life with my wife and family and just getting a chance to see life from a different perspective is something that's really exciting to me.
Yeah.
Jess, I'd be really interested to know, just what are you most proud of? Because you're more than just Jess Fishlock, the footballer. You've come through an age where, your own lifestyle was sometimes, you didn't, but sometimes people felt they had to hide their sexuality or whatever. You've come through that, and you're more of just a football role model. You're a role model
globally.
And in life. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah.
So what are you most proud of, would you say?
I think, honestly, just being able to do what I've always wanted to do, which is play football for Wales, obviously, and help create the situation that we're in right now, where we have a really competitive team, we have great facilities, our association is investing in us. We have so much at our disposal that, just being able to come in and focus on football is a privilege at this point, right? But also just being able to kind of do all that whilst being true to who I am is my biggest kind of proudest moment for me. To your point, I definitely was someone who was gay and played women's football, and at that time women's football was not a thing, and being gay was also frowned upon. And so what I was able to do was still go through that and get to the other side, whilst not sacrificing any part of me personally.
And
I think
that's difficult, Jess, right? In society, right, to walk that path on your own, basically, because I know people will say, "Oh no, I understand," but I always say to be honest. I think in today's society, to be honest and say your opinion and mean your opinion and walk and stand by it, I think is incredibly difficult, but incredibly brave. So that's why I salute you, because you just like a tiger. You don't give a,
I appreciate that. Thanks, Blakey.
So congrats, man. Congrats.
Yeah, it's just been...
When's the statue being erected? My next question.
I'll put you on that petition, shall I?
Well, I want keys to the city already. So
yeah, you get me the keys, and
I'll try
I'll
my
tell you
best.
where to meet me.
Yeah, I'll try my best. But look, anything else from Rob?
No, we've just had a ball
Bronwyn?
watching you, Jess.
Bronwyn has another question. Yeah.
Bryony, get it
Bryony,
right.
sorry.
That's Jess, by the way.
Yeah, and you're Rob, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry.
I was just gonna ask, did you think that when you first started playing football that you would have had the career you had?
No, just because I didn't know what it could be at that time. Back then you never took any of it for granted. You didn't take being able to play one game for Wales for granted, let alone, you know, having a Euros and a Nations League and qualifiers. You just went day by day and was just pushing for women's football to find a stride and find a place in the sporting world. So, you know, you could never look at women's football 19 years ago and predict that it would be what it is now. Let's be honest. I don't think anybody could. But what you can do now is look at women's football from 5 years ago and say, okay, well, everybody now knows that this is, you know, massive. So I think that if you were growing up now, you could look at it and say, right, this is what I want to do for my career. I want to get to 100 caps. I want to do this. I want to do that. But when we were growing up, it weren't like that. It was just like, I just want to play for Wales, and I don't even know what that looks like or how to get there, but I'm going to get there and then I'm going to see what happens.
Well, I think, I've got one more. How are you going to feel on Saturday? How do you think, have you prepared yourself for what you're going to feel, maybe when the game's over?
Oh, no, I think that is maybe just the only time I think that I'm not going to know what's going to hit me, when it's going to hit me, how it's going to hit me. You know, getting a chance to play at home for one, in front of my family, one last time in front of my mother, will probably make me crumble at some point, I'm sure. But when that point will be, I don't know.
Jess, it's been an absolute joy. And we, on the Rob and Blakey Commentary Box podcast, and Bryony, we salute you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you.
Absolutely, girl.
Thanks, guys. Thank you.
If you're a player and you know the manager don't fancy you, it's difficult to go out and perform outrageously well. You still will perform because what you do is what you do. But when you know the manager loves you and he's got your back, it is different. I defy any player to disagree with me.
Yeah, no, I think you're right on that.
I am right.
Yeah, okay, I just said I think you're right on
Don't
that.
think I am.
Well, okay, I know you're right on that.
There you go, Rob.
Let's
There you
just
go,
get
there you go,
it
there you go.
sorted. Honestly, you're really pedantic today.
I
Just
am,
because you got a prediction right.
I am. Well, I'm trying to make
Can you
sure.
give me the lottery numbers for later?
I don't
That'll
share
help.
those. I don't share those.
Just quickly on Kiefer Moore.
Good word, by the way, pedantic for you.
Yeah, it's
not bad.
you know, even with a bad throat.
Yeah.
Kiefer Moore came on, does what Kiefer Moore does.
Yeah.
His sixth goal against Cardiff City.
Yeah, listen, he done well, but ultimately you lost the game. So, listen, celebrate your goal. Great. Keeps your run going, you know, whether Parkinson's stature against Coventry on Friday or not, I don't know, but
I'm sure he will.
yeah, I would have thought so.
He's their best goal scorer. He's their dangerous. Also, the way they play, he holds up the ball. I thought that was lacking for them before he came on.
Well, he didn't have the ball.
No, well,
That's
they
the
didn't
pro-
have much of the ball.
that's the
you're right.
problem.
Although the possession stats ended up 50-50, which I found a bit
Yeah, because they had a
odd, 'cause
good
it didn't
second
seem
half.
that
and then,
way
well,
to me.
Cardiff defended well.
Yeah.
And like I said, the last 8, once they went 2-1 up, they then shut up shop, Cardiff did, and said, we're going to see it out. I think most people would think, this is going to go to penalties because, you know, Wrexham will overpower them. But that's what I said. Like,
The subs were
you're not
excellent.
going to overpower them because, you know, you got to think like the young players, many of them have been in and around the Welsh squad. You know, many of them have been in the first team and around the first team in the Championship. You know, they know what the game's about. You're not gonna physically outdo them. You know?
No. And I'll say it again. We're recording this on Wednesday, which is the night that Swansea City play Manchester City in the Carabao Cup. It would be great to have two of them in the quarterfinal draw.
Remember the last time they played with the ball boy?
Yeah. That was, when they went on to win it with Eden Hazard and all that sort of stuff.
It was, yeah.
But what I will say, let's be honest about it. We had a chat before this podcast started, and Julie, the producer, fair play, she threw in a great shout, didn't she? She said, BBM looks like a Swansea manager.
Well, I didn't agree with it, so it might have been a great chat for you, but
no, it's a great talking point.
That's a great talking point.
So talk.
Well, you tell the people, the listeners.
Well, I can see
what
this.
Julie said.
Basically that I think it's all about the possession. Reminded her of the Martinez and that era at Swansea City.
No, her exact words were, BBM is more of a Swansea manager than he is a Cardiff manager.
Well, he's at Cardiff at the moment, and he's laid down a philosophy which has some resemblance to what it was at Swansea when they were Swansea loner.
More possession-based Swansea were.
I agree. And I do think the difference between this Cardiff side and, say, the sides under Martinez, the press is far more aggressive, far more in your face, which is a Cardiff thing.
Well, that's if you're playing in the 90s, sounds so far away now, doesn't it?
Well, they are. You're
Playing
old
in the
now.
90s.
Look at the beard. You're going greyer. Good job you shaved your head.
It's not grey, it's snow. It's snowing outside, Rob. It's just not melted yet. But I think what was I saying is totally like
the 90s are
in the 90s, I think when I came to Cardiff, I always say was very much, and don't take this the wrong way, like, so I'd use Man City and Man United, I'd cite them examples. So Swansea played in a more possession-based game like Manchester City. Cardiff playing a more aggressive front foot, wingers, quick, win the ball, second ball, press you up in Cardiff because the fans demand it. I always say the fans demand that sort of that scrap, that fight, that. I'm not saying Swansea fans don't. I'm saying under Martinez, what happened was Swansea fans became patient.
Yeah, they did. Yeah.
Right? And I think they had like managers like Laudrup and what have you, which weren't as possession based as Martinez, but they kept that sort of philosophy of possession being, the main sort of focus of how they play. I think the difference is now over the years it's sort of faded because Swansea have never had the squad that they had when they were in the Premier League and they were flying and blah 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 blah. So they've got the philosophy, they just don't have the players to play up to that philosophy. And someone like a young Sheehan, it's difficult to get up to that style of play, winning games, because that's the key, right?
Wow.
It's getting up to that possession base and winning games. But I would say to you, Swansea were more like Man City and Cardiff were more like Man United. Man United always had wingers, striker. People can win the ball in midfield. That's in their sort of 25-year successful period.
And what I would say is that Laudrup side knew how to press as well. Because they were, as you say, slightly different to the way Martinez played.
Yeah, Martinez was such the patient, right? He was like a surgeon. He just pick until one person's out of place, and then we exploit that. Do you know what I mean? Where I think Cardiff is more like, well, Rob, you're the winger. Nath, you're the defender. Rob, take him on, beat him.
So, as I said, we don't know what's happening this evening, but we do know that Zambi Potnik scored twice last Saturday. 2-1 win over Norwich. I think it's fair to say those goals, by what I've read, brilliant finishes.
Yeah, lovely.
What a man in form. 6 goals in 8
and all of his
starts in
goals
the
have
league.
been good.
Yeah.
Yeah, he did, like getting across people, great finishing from distance, finishing around the 6-yard box, 18-yard box. There's a variety. That's what I like about his goals. But he's in form. But, you need to win games. That's what I think.
Well, where does that leave Adam Eder? They paid $7 million for him.
It's competition.
1 league start, 7 subs, 1 goal.
It's competition. That's competition.
Do you think that's what spurred on Vipotnik?
Yeah, I said to you, yeah, that's definitely what spurred on Vipotnik for me, is knowing that someone else is coming in to challenge my place. And that's why I look at him and go, yeah, big respect, kid, because it's easy to go the other way, knowing that probably there's an Irish connection between the manager and Ida, and he's probably going to take my place. But the idea of football or sport is, like, if Rob comes in as a centre forward and Nathan's already in, it's my job to keep him out.
Yeah.
Right? So that goes down to training, where we train, and then games when I play. You know, it's not just about scoring. It's about, right, how do I become the platform for the team to defend from the front? How do I then become, you know, the person who you play off to bring other players into play? You know, what's my strength? Getting down the channel. What's my strength? Going through the middle, getting crosses in, or, you know, getting on the end of crosses and stuff. So I have big respect of Vipotnik, because, like I said, it would be easy to fall the other way and sort of give up your sort of shirt to Ida. But he hasn't. He said,
He's
I'm
accepted
the
the
main
challenge.
man.
Yeah.
I'm the main man. Come and take it. And now it's for Ida to, when you get on and get opportunity, if Vipotnik's playing at a 10, if you're at the 9, it's not good enough. You got to get to an 11 to, you know, to get him out, basically.
Alan Sheehan will hope as well that's the platform in the league to springboard to.
Well,
but they got a Charlton on.
Well, he will hope
Saturday.
that, because then everyone's playing at the highest level.
Yeah.
That's the whole idea of competition, is to get your team up to a level where everyone's challenging each other for their positions. Because you've heard that, you know, we want 2 players for every position. If you got that, you're very fortunate. But only 11 people can play.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So competition for places is healthy, very healthy.
So they got Charlton away on Saturday, which is Nathan Jones' side. We talked about them last week being really impressive.
Yeah, good,
Preston
strong.
away,
But
and then Ipswich at home.
I don't look at the league this year and go, like, there's a standout team for me. I think Coventry are on it at the moment, but it's a long, like, the championship is tough, man. It is tough. Trust me, it's a tough league to get promoted out of, and it's a tough league to sustain 46 games plus your League Cup plus your FA Cup. You know, it's a tough ask.
One has become 2 on the Rob and Blakey Commentary Box podcast couch. I get a chair. He gets a couch. But Ben Thomas has joined us. And Ben, you had a watching brief last night. We talked about the happiness of Cardiff fans and Newport fans. Swansea as well after last Saturday. Not so much Wrexham, but Wales women got beaten last night. Tell us about it.
Yeah, it was another difficult night. I thought, well, the start was really good. The early goal from Elise Hughes, and I thought this was going to be the night that they break that string of defeats. They started very positive, very much on the front foot. It felt like every pass for the first 10 minutes was
Good
with
chance to go 2-0 up as
yeah,
well.
and the chance to go 2-0 up. But there was a very front foot sort of thought process behind the way they started the game, but defensively just very naive, I think. And if you're a team that's going to concede 5 goals, you're never going to give yourself much of a chance to win a game.
What would you put it down to then? Because they're conceding a lot of goals. You know, if you look at like the Euros and then post Euros, they seem to be in that position. If the problem before they went to the Euros was conceding an early goal and set pieces. But now they just when they got to the Euros and since that, they seem to have...
I saw the Polish goals as well. There was some
and they had
fairly easy goals, weren't
there?
there?
There was some really good finishes.
Good finishes.
Yeah. And they had probably 3 other good chances at least, Poland. I'd say Wales had 1 or 2. I think Wales hit the bar, didn't they, as well? But what do you make of it all? Why do you think they're conceding so many goals?
I think, like I said, it was just a bit of naivety. I think it is quite a young squad, and the sort of buzzword in Welsh football is transition and a team being in transition. But when you're losing players like Jess Fishlock and you're trying to bed in a lot of young players, I think you are going to get some mistakes 2 of the goals last night come from just switching off of corners. It was short corners, stuff like that. At that level, you can't really be getting caught up with things like that. So it's just, I think it is a learning curve. You've got a lot of young players that you're trying to bed in. It is that next generation now that they're trying to push through, Briss. You've got to get rid of what is simple mistakes like that. I think getting caught out the short corners and things like that is, at that level, you just can't get found out.
I think after the going to the Euros, all the players that went to the Euros, it should have given them another level. Do you know what I mean? Forget the results. The fact that you got there and were at the Euros should give you an added confidence to say, you know, because I think Poland are 26, I think 25, 26, 27, and we're like 32, 33 rankings in the world, so there's not a lot between us. And I would expect to be a far closer affair. So I take one and watch.
I mean, qualification starts again next year, doesn't it? So I think they've got some friendlies in November again now. But it's lost the last 7 in a row, 11 without a win. Since they qualified for the Euros in Dublin.
Yeah.
That was the last win. How worried should we be by that? And it's, let's be honest about it, it's post Jess Fishlock now. There's no Jess Fishlock to get you out of a hole, which she did so often.
Yeah, I think when, like you said, when you're losing so many games, it's difficult to try and find positives in that. And as well as they done qualifying for the European Championships, when you come up against that level of opposition, I think they've realised how far they are still off, how much of a gap it is between those sorts of sides. And when you qualify for competitions, you've seen it with the men's side, when they first qualified for the Euros in 2016, it almost becomes that expectation to keep doing it then and keep...
Well, they didn't qualify for the next World Cup.
No, but we've got there once, so people almost expect you to maintain that level or compete at that level consistency. And with a footballing nation like Wales, we are behind in some aspects, but we have got a much smaller pool of players to choose from. And when you're trying to bring in, like I said, the new group of youngsters now, you're losing the most experienced players, the players that within the squad that you've got can play at that level. So yeah, I think it is going to take time to develop to be able to compete against the higher nations on a regular basis.
Well, let me ask you this then, because I was, if you go to the Adran Premier now, Cardiff beat Pontypridd United 7-1, stay on top of the league on goal difference from Wrexham, who scored 5 against Aberystwyth without reply. Amy Devon scored 4 for Swansea City. They beat Britain Ferry Clansell 6-1 to stay third, and TNS were 4-2 winners over Barry. So you'd probably say Newport haven't got a team. They're the 4 best team in Wales. I was on another podcast, Fearless in Devotion, the Wrexham podcast, previewing the Wrexham-Cardiff game, and they talked about the women's side of the game and what they've done. And remember, we talked last week about the new person, sort of sporting director at Wrexham on the women's side. And I think we all agreed it was a statement recruitment, a statement addition to their setup. In other words, he's got such a good track record that it says, right, they seriously mean business on the women's side. And one of the contributors asked me a really interesting question, which sort of stumped me a bit. He said, do you think this is planning for Wrexham to go into England and play in the English system?
Maybe it could be a possibility, but in terms of how you want to see Wales develop as a nation, both internationally and in terms of domestic football as well, I think that investment needs to stay within Wales. I don't think it would be any good for Wrexham to develop their women's side to a point where they just take it to the English setup, because, well, as we've seen, when Cardiff, Swansea, Newport and Wrexham play in the EFL, that has had a drastic impact on how the men's domestic game is in Wales, because the biggest crowds, the biggest teams are not playing in Wales, which has had an impact on how much it's been able to grow. So,
let me ask you something there. When your team is playing in a higher competition, you create a better player that will then come back to your national team. So my point being is if Cardiff, Swansea, Wrexham, Newport were all playing in the Welsh League, do you think they would be providing the Welsh international setup with players?
probably not now because there's such a disparity, but within the women's game, it's still at that level where everyone is on an equal playing field. So domestically within Wales, I think the women's game can be developed enough where from the domestic teams they are giving international level players that I can understand that if they were to go to the English setup that they would be playing against a higher level of competition, but I don't understand why we can't develop football in Wales to compete with that.
Because it's okay saying, well, I'm invested in grassroots, but you literally have to do it. I always say, are you invested in grassroots, men and women? I look at the pitches. I look at there'll be one pitch here and one pitch there, or 3G here, 3G there. The school's football isn't what it used to be. It's starting to come back now, but it isn't what it used to be. The pitches are still awful. Like they shouldn't be. It should be whether you're playing for Cardiff City or whether you're playing for Spencer Boys. Pitches now should be pristine. They should be looked after. Councils, whatever, should be made to look after them through pressure from the Welsh FA, because what you're playing on and when you're training on makes a difference. When you and I went to the Euros and we went to Amsterdam, remember? We were in the Hotel Football, I think it was called.
Yeah.
And you looked out, I don't know if you looked out, but I looked out the back window, I looked across, there was like some sort of academy going on and kids football. And the pitches, and they're duts, like absolute duts, little like 5-6-year-olds, but they're playing on what we call like carpet, right? Now, I don't care whether it's Gwent League, like Sunday League, whatever league it is, it's 2025 and football is the biggest game in this nation. Wales, Scotland, Ireland, like Ireland probably you could challenge, but Wales, Scotland and England, football is the biggest game. If you're invested in the game, you invest in it.
Yeah, and
where you can see it.
Yeah, I agree. And what I would say is that you remember I went to the presentation by Noel Mooney a few weeks ago, and he talked about the amount of investment they're making into the pitches. They've got under-19 test games up in North Wales.
Yeah, what pitches though?
Next month.
It's not.
Well,
so what I'm saying is, let me just finish, Rob. So what I'm saying is, you might get a kid that's playing for Newport schools, or might be playing for Llanedin, but he or she will come to be a top player in the international setup. And if you ask that person as an adult, right, when you were a child, where did you play? What did you do? What were the pitches like? What was the facilities like? Right? Most of the teams I speak to who were, lower league, roundabout, it's more about the money they have to pay.
Yeah, but I don't think you can knock the FAW for the money that they've generated to put into.
No, you can. There's no knocking.
Pitches.
What I'm saying is, like, literally.
But it's a long job. Yeah, that's what I'd say. It's a long job.
Yeah,
and my point on the women's thing is that.
But there are money going other places as well, which I think to myself, well, if you're investing in the growth of the game, you go down and you start here, or you might say, right, we're good down to 18. Like next is we're going to 16 to 14-year-olds. Next we're going from 14 to 12-year-olds, and so on and so forth. What I'm saying is, if you speak to a lot of clubs, I don't think they would say we get the investment into our clubs, so we're able to improve our facilities.
I'm sure there'll be clubs who want more, but the figures speak for themselves.
Not more. It's the majority, I think.
Well. Yeah, but then you can't help everybody all the time, can you? Because there's only a finite amount of money.
So who do you help then?
Well, you've got to help. For instance, as I was saying, they're staging the under-19s European tournament next summer, aren't they? So there are test events in North Wales in the next few weeks. where Wales under 19s are playing national teams.
So that's what I'm saying. You're talking about
So
grassroots investment into the international setups. I'm talking a totally different thing. I'm talking investment into the game across the board.
But we're talking about investment in the women's game in particular, because that's what we were talking about.
Because Rob Phillips might be playing for Llanedin.
Yeah.
He might not be in the Welsh setup. That's my point.
But that's more of a, I would say, without being pedantic about it, but I can be, that's more of a local authority issue than an FAW issue.
Yeah,
Cardiff Parks and Newport Parks are, then they're really not the FAW's thing, are they? That's Newport Council or whatever.
Well, yes, but no.
Well, that makes sense.
Well, if you're investing and you know the pitches that the councils were broke and have been for the last however many years, and you're investing in grassroots game, like, what are you talking? It's just then grassroots if you get into the Welsh setup and you come here and you train on this beautiful pitch. But if you're the other 24 teams in Newport or Cardiff or whatever, because you've got local councils, we don't give no money there. But they're the majority of where all the talent is coming from.
Yeah, maybe.
So that's what I'm saying. That
Yeah.
I think there's a way that the Welsh effort, and I'm not saying, I don't think you can spread yourself too thinly across. I just think it could be better. Money could be spent better, wider than what it currently is.
Okay, we shall see. And the good, I'm just going back to the women's side. The good thing is that Cardiff, Swansea, Wrexham, and to some and TNS as well, they are investing in those sides, aren't they? So to try and prevent, I mean, there will be girls, if they're good enough, they go to, I'm sure they could go to a English Premier side if they're good enough. And that's what you want. It's rugby suffered, didn't they, by saying, well, you can't go abroad, you got and you won't play for Wales unless you got so many caps.
It's the maddest thing.
Yeah.
It's the
Imagine
maddest
Gareth
thing.
Bale not going to Real Madrid.
Well, don't go to Tottenham.
Yeah, exactly.
Don't go to Southampton. Don't
Exactly.
develop and become a better player.
Yeah.
I think it's just a case of giving domestic sides as well the opportunity to develop enough of those players. So even if they're not consistently staying within Welsh domestic football, you're creating more from that pool of Welsh players that are going on to have more opportunities to go and play with bigger clubs. So inevitably, even if they are moving on to the English system, you've got more Welsh players coming through, which ultimately makes a bigger pool when it comes to international level as well.
Quite. And they are going to have to improve, because it's the first time Rhian Wilkinson, I've heard us say it after the Poland game last night, that was unacceptable. That wasn't acceptable. So we shall see where that goes.
Yeah, but when managers say that, I always say, and this isn't a Rhian Wilkinson thing, I always say,
It's you as well?
right. We hate it as players when a manager starts like giving it the old Matrix Neo, like, ooh, I'll dodge those bullets. Yeah, it was them over there, right? No. We played to the system that you set us up. Like, for many a moon, we said, they got to stop conceding early goals, right?
Yeah.
They concede them, set pieces. Got to stop it. Didn't. Same again now, right? You got to stop concede. You can't be losing 3s, 4s, 5s. That means you got to score 5, 6, 7s to win games.
Yeah.
Right? And it starts with the coaching staff, because the coaching staff have the best players to hand, and then they set you up in a way of, this is how we're going to play. Right? And whether you think, we're going to be offensive and do this and do that, or we're going to sit in a deep defensive block, you look at the players that you got to hand, and then you think, right, they will fit this system best. That's the way we're going with these players. And then if 2 or 3 women come up from the 18s or the 21s who are a bit superstar-ish, okay, we can adjust now. We've got a new Jess Fishlock coming through, a new Sophie. We can actually adjust, and we can incorporate them. Like we're saying, it's nurturing, like with Ruben. Like, you nurture these players in, right? So
Back to where we were. Ruben
yeah, full circle. Yeah.
back
But
to him.
yeah, it's gonna be it's tough. I think it's tough. I think not just Rhian Wilkinson saying we've got to do better, this, that, and the other. Actually, everything needs to be better around it, right? But let's not forget, still, they're still very young. They're in their infancy as an international team.
They are. Finally, Ben, TNS 9 points clear at the top now. And 9 league wins on the bounce. We won't bring in Nathan here because I know he's going to say. Carnarvon blundered with a Penabont with a 2-0 win over them. Ended a 4-match. They blundered Penabont, didn't they, with a 2-0 win in South Wales, which sort of got them back on track. Haverwest hit back from 2 goals down to draw with Connors Key. Cardiff Met scored 3 in 7 minutes to beat Flintown United, and Colwyn Bay were 2-0 winners at Britain Ferry, the only goalless game. That's the one good thing about the Welsh system. You get plenty of goals, women and men. Bala was a Bala where Barry went home with a point. There's nobody to stop, Ben. I mean, I'll give you the easiest question of all now. There's no one going to stop TNS this season, is there?
No, it's too difficult, I think, in terms of just the depth and the quality they've got. It's near impossible for any of the other side. They can try and keep up as much as they can. I know Penabont put up a bit of a fight last year, but ultimately fell off when they had injuries, and it's just the same case again this year, I think. And TNS lost their first game of the season, I think it was 3-0 against Britain Ferry. And that, I think that was almost the worst thing that could happen to the league, because it just wakes them up straight away.
Oh, right. Because when it bites you, then, yeah.
You know, with TNS, they're probably going to lose 2 to 3 games maximum a season, and I think that first loss of the season just instantly woke them up to the point where they're now 9 wins on the bounce, and you can't see them losing.
And they haven't got the distraction of Europe either, have they?
Yeah, they went out of Europe as well.
No.
But
there we are.
How do you think that changes, though? How do you think that now there's other teams now start to win that league, and do you know what I mean? Start to stop that dominance, because, like I always say, it's not for them to come down and bring themselves down. It's for you to catch up, right? How do the other teams close that gap? Otherwise, it's great for TNS, but it's not great for the league, is it?
No, it takes away obviously the competitive edge, and I think the interest in the league, when it almost feels like, well, we haven't even got to Christmas yet, and it feels like the league is pretty much already wrapped up. So I think for some football fans in Wales, they might look at that and think, why am I going to go and watch some of these games?
They use Mickey Mouse.
It's difficult sometimes, but...
Oh, it's Mickey Mouse.
Again, I think it comes to investment within the other clubs. TNS are in the position they are because they've had heavy investment, which ultimately means they're at a much better level than any other team domestically. They are guaranteed European football and the money that brings as well. I think you just need other clubs to get investment on board similar to that. I know Haverfordwest have spoke about it recently with their chairman, Rob Edwards, put out an open letter basically saying he feels like he's taken them as far as he could, and they've reached Europe once, but it's not consistent, and they've struggled this year. Llanelli as well have recently joined the Republic European platform, which will allow investment from around the world to take some control of the football club or part ownership of the football club to put money in. I think it is just a matter of these clubs getting heavy investment to compete with TNS. Until you get that, I think they're always just going to be runaway.
Really interesting.
Didn't you?
Sorry?
Redundancy, you had a good packet, didn't you?
I'm not that stupid. The last thing I'd ever do is put money in the football club.
Go on, mate. Go on. They
No,
need
you're
you.
okay. I don't think I've ever made as much money as you have, Nathan Blakey. Brennan Johnson, what a feat by him last night. First British player to score and get sent off in a European game.
Oh. I thought you was going to say something about the goal.
Oh,
I thought it was like, well, it was the typical Brennan Johnson goal, right? Running onto it and what have you.
Yeah. And we need him in form.
That was going to be my next point. That's exactly what we need. Is because he's. I said this to Dav Pritch yesterday. I think
He's BBC's Dav Pritch.
Yeah, there's so much pressure on players these days to do well, and just because I think he kind of come in when the void was left by Gareth. I think there was the automatic, he'll be, and me and you and I have had this conversation, right?
Yeah.
Oh, he's the next, not you'll say, I didn't say he's the next Gareth Bale.
And I didn't say that.
You kind of alluded to that, right? He's the person who's going to pick up that slack, right? Don't frown, because you know what I'm saying is true, right? You kind of alluded to, right? So he'll be the next sort of person on the conveyor belt who will be the next big thing, because he went for 50 million quid.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, so, but, we haven't seen him develop into, like, when Gareth went to Spurs, people weren't going, he's going to be world class. And then all of a sudden, he just went boom, right?
Yeah.
I think as well with Brennan, I think everyone's waiting for that boom, but it doesn't necessarily come to all players. Do you understand what I mean? He might develop slower, or he might not develop further.
Yeah.
He might have reached his ceiling. I just think there's a lot of, I mean, we're talking about him now, but there's a lot of talk, and that comes with a lot of pressure as well.
Yeah, we need him. I mean, we want him to do well because we need him to do
well.
well.
I said, like, I was asked, how do you think he can improve and whatever? I said, like, I'd love to see him learn to play with his back to goal, because I think he could play as a number 9.
Really?
I think he'd be frightening as a number 9. I think his movement's good. He's got these lovely sway hips where he can go past you quite easily. But his problem is he's not great with his back to goal. We've tried him as a 9, right, a few times.
Yeah.
I think if he can learn to play with his back to goal, he could be dangerous as a 9.
Well, that'll be interesting. As I say, we really do need him up and in form for Liechtenstein and North Macedonia. We've been joined by a gentleman. Introduce yourself. Your name is?
I'm Ed, and I'm a student here at USW, second year in the sports journalism course.
Excellent. We've got you in, Ed, because there was a Women's Nations League draw yesterday. Wales were drawn from Pot 1. They're in Section B, and they're in fact in Group B1 with Czechia, the old Czech Republic, Albania and Montenegro. These games will be played in March, April and June. I don't know what you're going to say, Ed, but let me quote an ex-post from Sean Misra, who's quite an authority on Welsh women's football these days. He said, mixed bag for Wales. Montenegro are in their first League B group. Albania finished third in this tier last time out. Czechia concern me, he says, lost narrowly to Austria in the playoffs and almost reached the Euros. They will be very tough. And I've looked at the rankings. They're actually one place above Wales in the rankings. So what have you made of the group? Bearing in mind as well, it's also a qualification, the start of qualification for the World Cup in Brazil in 2027.
Yeah, exactly. And it's the same way they got to the Euros, Wales. They've got to go through this sort of group, and then they'll be in the playoffs to go, hopefully, to the World Cup.
Playoffs?
Yeah, difficult.
It would take about 3 podcasts to explain the playoffs.
Explain the playoffs, yeah.
It's too complicated.
It is really, yeah.
I just
So
say let's
go
get
on,
to
Ed.
the game.
If they can do anything similar to what they did last time in this sort of setting, then I'm sure they'll be fine. They were unbeaten last time, so 4 clean sheets, and they drew twice against Ukraine, who finished second in the group. So I think, like Sean says, it's Czech Republic they think they got to worry about. The other ones, they should be winning those games. And they've definitely got enough to win those games. So
Do you think they got enough to finish top of the group, though?
I believe so.
I think so. Yeah, they should
and
have.
it's the home games they've got to focus on as well. Get the crowd behind them at home and create that atmosphere. And I think they should be finishing top of the group.
Well, they've got to break the run they're on at the moment, haven't they?
Yeah, exactly. They've
Was
got to
11 games, is it?
11 games of that a win.
They got to stop
Although,
conceding goals.
admittedly, against much better opposition than they're facing.
Yeah.
They're facing now.
It's defensively. I think they've just got to stop conceding goals, and if they do that, then they got way better chances of winning games.
Yeah.
That's how it is.
If you concede 3 or 4, I would say you've got no chance.
or 5 as in against Poland.
Yeah, it's a nightmare for your striker, because one chance and you miss it, and everyone goes, like the striker's missed a great chance, and you might get one in one game, but you're losing 3 or 4, and
Yeah, and this will test Rhian Wilkinson now. Won't it? This sort of draw. It's not the easiest they could have had, is it?
No, and like you say, it's definitely going to test it, especially after coming off this bad run they're in now, and games that they're now expected to win. I think they probably haven't been in that position now for a good couple of months. So, like you say, but I think the Czech Republic game is definitely the ones they need to focus on the most. I think the other ones they should be picking up 6 points against either side.
I want to ask you, Ed, as well. Wales' coefficient now.
Yeah.
They're right down now, aren't they?
Yeah, second bottom now, isn't it?
Yeah.
So, but I think that's why the Welsh FA and stuff, they partner in now to expand the domestic leagues next year. The Cymru Prem is going to 16 teams like it used to be.
Yeah.
I think that they've thought now they have to try something different. They have to get more engagement. And there was a figure in last Christmas about the attendances around Boxing Day around the Cymru Premier, and it was some sort of like 20-25% increase. So there is stuff happening.
Yeah.
And I think that they're doing it now at the right time, because being the second worst league in Europe is not acceptable for us.
Rob's got the idea of going to like Friday nights. What do you think of that, Ed?
Yeah, I think it's
a must.
It's a must. I think.
And would you go to a summer rather than a winter? Like the rugby league.
No, I've always said the way forward for the Cymru Prem.
So start in February,
is to start
sort of
in
March.
February.
Yeah.
Okay, you'll still have bad weather, because you can't help the weather.
No.
There will still be the odd game off. But
Friday
I think that's
nights and
less
that.
of a worry
than
than when I get to the European games. And if you're TNS, for instance, who are the regular European competitors, they're finishing one season, they're having 2 weeks off. Nath, as a professional footballer, you need more than 2 weeks off to just mentally as much as anything.
Just switch off.
And then they're right into a European campaign. Well, is it any wonder that a run like TNS had last season is the exception rather than the rule?
Yeah, I fully agree. If you want to get more teams further in European, this year no team got through the first round, really. So if you want teams to start getting further and start having chances, not only TNS either, to reach these competitions, then a summer league is a great option. And like you say, I think every other league, and when you play against teams who do the summer league, so like Penabont, they come up against a team from Lithuania who are already in the middle of their season.
Yeah,
they're going to be fit. They're going to be fitter, sharper. So to compete with them on the same level, I think it's definitely a good option. And they're testing this out now with the new expansion of the league in terms of Friday nights being the focus. So we'll see. I think you're going to see how that goes first, and then maybe try and wind it a different sort of schedule or calendar in.
I think you've got to remember as well, what you're competing with. The amount of football that's on Sky and TNT and all these channels, even the Amazons and all that got involved. The women's leagues have like boomed, right? So you're up against them now. They're now on TV and on Sky channels and what have you. So if you're the Welsh FA, I think just doing what you normally do or have done is like, you got to really start to think outside the box, because
I agree.
It's not. And the other problem is there's got to be some sort of, you've got to try and do something to close the gap between TNS and the rest of the teams. That is they've managed to get themselves into a position where until the person pulls their money out, that's just going to continue along the same lines for me, or until someone comes in and puts big money into one of the other clubs. But then you've only got 2 teams challenging. What I'm saying is you need to improve that league.
Yeah, they are professionalising the other clubs, aren't they?
And that I think it's understandable. We go, Friday nights will be the sort of the saviour, and then blah 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 blah. If I'm paying, like, I go to my local Abergavenny and they charge a £5 to go in. You pay a £5, and really and truly, we're just going there for the social aspect.
Yeah.
Because football's not great to watch. You have to improve the football.
Yeah. Yeah.
There are people paying players at the lower, at sort of the lower Welsh League levels, 150, 200. And I'm not trying to do anyone out of making a bit of money. Absolutely not. But the quality of then what you're watching, listen, no, there's definitely a problem with the whole sort of the way it sits and the way the system is set up.
Yeah, well,
because that you can't be paying players like at Abergavenny. They paid 1 or 2 players and didn't pay the rest of the team.
Yeah.
Right, things like that going on. That's not going to improve your club and your team and get you up the leagues and what have you.
No.
So I cite Abergavenny because it's my local.
Before we go, though, we've got to talk about a figure who probably Ed doesn't know too much about, but we both know. Colin Addison passed away at the age of 85, 400-plus appearances as a player with York, Forest, Arsenal, Sheffield United, Hereford. Managed all over the world. Spain, South Africa, Kuwait, Qatar, Newport twice, Merthyr, Swansea, Barry Town with Dave Hughes. And, of course, one of the great FA Cup shocks. Southern League Hereford, player-manager Colin Addison. FA Cup round 3, drew 2-2 at Newcastle. In the first game, Addo scored an equaliser from 25 yards. The game was postponed 3 times the replay, and then on a quagmire pitch, they beat Newcastle 2-1 with goals from Ronnie Radford, one of the goals of the season. I think it was goal of the season.
Century.
Yeah, and Ricky George.
You've got to be good if
After
you're
Malcolm
Ricky George.
MacDonald, Supermac had put
Yeah.
Newcastle ahead.
Hey,
The man just loved football. He just lived for football, didn't he? And Jean, his wife.
yeah, well, he was good at it, wasn't he? And he was good at coaching it. He was good at talking about it. And he had plenty of stories. He had a great personality. He was just, he was just what you call from the elder then, the elder generation, I call them, the elders. He was a great man. He's simple as that.
He was a brilliant summariser.
He's got his road named after him as well.
He
don't
has,
forget
Addison
that.
Court.
And
whenever I drove through Hereford, I'd ring Addo, and he'd say, make sure that sign is polished, Rob.
Yeah.
Phillips R, he used to call me.
Yeah.
Phillips R all the time. Couple of stories. Talking about that Newcastle game. Years and years later.
This is before we were born.
No. In the last 10, 15 years, I went to Newcastle with Swansea City. I'm sure it was Swansea. And Addo and I got into the press box. And there was one lone figure in the press box who was writing well before the game, hour and a half, 2 hours before the game. And he looked up. It was Malcolm MacDonald. And he looked straight at Addo. And he went, you so-and-so, you come back to haunt me again. It was just a wonderful, wonderful moment. Hello and welcome to the latest edition of Rob and Blakey's Commentary Box. We're loud and clear on Welsh football. Welcome to the podcast. I'm Rob Phillips, the former BBC Wales football correspondent. My regular associate is Nathan Blake, former Premier League player and Wales international. But you will have noticed, if you're watching on YouTube, that it's 2 has become 3 today because we've got a really special guest. Welcome, Mike Flynn. How are you, Mike?
Cheers, Rob. Cheers, Nate. Thanks for having me.
We should have put that in, really, shouldn't we?
Yeah.
And Mike has made his way to the University of South Wales atrium, where we're brought to you with the valued support of the journalism and media courses. Spread the word. Tell your friends. We're on all your social media outlets, Instagram, X, Blue Sky Threads. Watch us on YouTube and, of course, wherever you get your podcasts, including Spotify. This week, what a bumper program. As well as speaking to Mike, we've got Wales's World Cup group, yet another managerial casualty among our 4 EFL clubs. Swansea's continued hunt for a replacement for Alan Sheehan. So we've got loads, but there is only one place to start. Wales beat Macedonia. We're recording this on Wednesday. This is the day after, the night before, a 7-1 win. A magnificent 7-1 win for Craig Bellamy's side.
I see what you did there. That's pretty good.
Well, it's not
Magnificent
the
seven.
it's not the most original thing,
Yeah.
but
I was going to say,
you know me, I've
you
never
gotta be
been
of a
afraid to
certain
copy
age,
others.
Yeah.
Nathan, I know you were thrilled because you broke all the rules of the press box. You stood up and clapped when Harry Wilson tucked away that free kick.
Like I say, mate, if you go and watch a great performance at the theatre, when I went and watched Michael Crawford in Phantom of the Opera, you stand up and clap. It's appreciation. I watch Lion King with my son. You stand up, give a round of applause. I think that's the ultimate mark of respect. You obviously don't.
No, I did when Owen Money's Panda one year.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I mean...
That's my style.
Yeah, well, he keeps plugging it so he can get his... when so he can get on Owen's show when Owen's on holiday. So he thinks, if I keep plugging it, I get back to BBC.
Well, you never know.
Tell him I'm going in December with the kids as well.
Yeah.
Mike, what did you make of last night?
I thought it was exceptional. I'm so pleased for Craig. Not just Craig, the staff, backroom staff who I've worked with quite a lot. Andrew Crofts, Rylands Morgan, and James Rowbury. For me, it was nigh on perfect. And I think Craig has said that himself afterwards, as he could have hoped for. But it was a demolition job. And me and Nathan was talking on the way up that, North Macedonia, okay, is it a big name? And they've been on an unbelievable run. They've drawn away
games, qualified
big games, unbeaten, only conceded 3. I just thought the Welsh team and the way they set up and the way they executed a game plan last night was absolutely phenomenal. And I was getting little hairs on the back of my neck now just saying that, because they were that good.
Swansea City dispatched Alan Sheehan. They're playing Bristol City on Saturday. They look to have lost it on Kim Hellberg of Hammarby in Sweden, because he looks like he's going to Middlesbrough. May even be confirmed now. And the hottest favourite is Vitor Matos, currently in Portuguese second division side Maritimo.
Can't say I know anything about him or Maritimo.
Well, I'll tell you a bit, shall I? Because
Okay,
I've been doing my homework. 2 years
Yeah.
coaching at Shandong Luneng in China.
Easy for you to say.
5 years as... Yeah, without a mistake. Mind you, I do like Chinese food, so I'm pretty good on Cantonese.
I've never seen a man eat so much.
5 years as elite development coach at Liverpool, monitoring and adapting players, moving them towards first team. Mm-hmm. Joined Pep Linders at Red Bull Salzburg, and then was appointed Maritimo boss in Liga 2 in Portugal. They're third at the moment after 11 games. Mike, you know the sort of coach that Swansea look for. They've been pretty consistent. They like a head coach, rather than a manager. Does he sound the sort of guy that might make a difference?
Look, only time will tell on that. What I will say, if he's worked with Pep Linders, he would pick up some very, very good coaching methodology and techniques, shall we say, because Pep Linders is one of the best I've seen, in terms of putting on sessions and coaching. But as we found out, being a coach and the main man in charge, it's a lot different. So it'd be interesting to see how that works out. But in terms of putting out the style of play, I'm sure that he'll be able to do that.
You met Pep Linders on the FAW.
Yeah,
coaching coach.
I was with Pep on the FAW coach. We did all our badges all the way through, and he stood out. He did stand out in terms of the coach education of how he went about it, and he's done his groundwork. He worked at Porto a long time, PSV. Then he went to Liverpool. And he's an unbelievable coach. He's so enthusiastic, which is key for the players because they've got to buy into it. But he's very knowledgeable. So that would have passed on. to him, and hopefully he's taken a lot of that on board. So it's going to be interesting. But again, look, the Championship is a brutal league, and you're going to have a good start.
Which brings us to Newport County. Whoever would have thought Cardiff would be the bastion of stability in South Wales, perched between Swansea and Newport, who are sort of, at the time of broadcasting, at the time of recording, both managerless. Dave Hughes went on Saturday immediately after the game against Shrewsbury in the tunnel or on the pitch.
Well. Yeah,
extraordinarily came out and did an interview. Having been sacked.
Just need to get this stuff together. You know, it's ridiculous. I mean, I've lived in Newport most of my life, and, you know, I know the importance of the club. I remember, like, back in the day, the youth firm, like, those of my friends were like little football hooligans and all that. It means a lot. It's meant a lot to a lot of people. You know, you go there now, they get like 4,500, 5,000. You know, they got a good contingent of 2,000-3,000.
I think they're 10th in the overall averages, something like that. So it's ridiculous, really.
You just, they just never, they don't build. They don't build, like, they don't plan long term. They don't, and like I've said before, I know, like, trying to get facilities and stuff like that, also a problem. You know what I mean? With the council and what have you. I say, like, the council got a part to play as well. I always point to Brighton and say, like, 15 years ago, Brighton were arguing, like, less than that. They didn't have a ground.
No.
And the council were like, yeah, well, you know, gave them the stadium and whoosh. Look at Bournemouth, you know, what they've been able to do.
Swansea as well.
Yeah, like, went all over Europe, six, 7 seasons in the Premier League and whatever. You got to support them. The problem for me is in Newport is you've got the club and then you've got the council wants something totally different, right? And I keep saying, like, there's a lot of pressure on Hugh at the moment, but I also know through other sources that trying to get a training ground and things like that, it's just impossible.
It is, and apparently their training was disrupted last Friday.
Right, so
by a B coaching session on the same pitch. Yeah.
How do you grow, Rob, if you've not got your own facility?
But
I know it's a slightly different.
Yeah, I know.
You know what I mean, for the manager, but I'm looking at, like, if Michael's manager at Newport and he's got his own facilities, and I don't mean porta cabins, I mean a proper training ground, 4 or 5 pitches, you know, nice little canteen area, what have you, because it's your second home as a player.
Yeah, quite, yeah.
You want to spend time there, right? But not understanding that, or, like, not helping that to grow is only holding back financial sort of gain for the whole of the city.
But they are where they are now, Mike. Another manager is gone. A head coach is gone. Tell me how it feels, because you've been a manager. You know how it feels to get the sack.
We didn't bring him on to talk about getting sacked.
No, but we will. No,
it's fine. I'm not the first, and I definitely won't be the last.
You know, it's inevitable. When a manager takes his job, the one thing he knows is one day, very rarely do you part company
Rob Edwards
on great terms, is it? No.
You can walk out.
Well, yeah, you can walk out, but
it's still not great terms.
Exactly. So, Mike, tell me how Dave Hughes is feeling deep down today.
Well, the first one, I think it's like your first girlfriend. When I've never experienced this, but I've been told when you get done by your first girlfriend, you know, it breaks your heart. And you know, I feel for Dave and Wayne, obviously, who I know, you know, he's a good close friend of mine. I feel for them. It's difficult. You start questioning yourself. You're looking back at, you know, one thing I didn't do when I got sacked at Walsall was I didn't look for excuses. You know, I knew what was going on, but I looked at myself first. What could I have done better? What didn't I do that I should have done? And they're the first things where you try to come to terms with, because they're the only things you can affect.
Control.
Anything else around the place is ultimately comes down to winning football matches, you know, not bad mouth in the club on social media, all the different reasons why you can get sacked, and I'm saying there and giving examples for. But you always want to try and leave it, through the front door. I've been, been taught that from, since I was playing. But yeah, he'll be questioning himself. He'll be a little bit low. I did give him a message Saturday or Sunday. I think I left him alone, and I went for dinner with Hats on Sunday. So yeah, they're disappointed. Obviously, nobody likes to lose their job. And what a lot of people, I'm going to say, what a lot of people don't get, and you can say is our fault because the industry we work in. Everybody knows when you've been sacked as a football manager or, a coach. It's everywhere. I'm sure we do a wellness, or when I'm in clubs, we do a wellness. How do you sleep? What's your mood? And soreness. So you can have a graph to help prevent injuries, which.
Wellness. That's changed.
Yeah, but you can, like you said earlier, you never know. One of the players, he might have just had a big argument with his wife, or his mum might be ill, or his dad was ill, and they didn't sleep all night. So that does put him at the risk of injury. Also, as well, you can get. Some players won't go up and tell you their problems. Some will. They come in and they'll tell you, they'll open their heart to you, and that's brilliant.
That's managing 20 guys, though,
yeah,
right?
That's brilliant.
That's the hardest part,
of course, and that's the brilliant part then, because then you can treat them accordingly. If he said, look, my mum's not very well, for example, and I'm saying that because my mum died when I was playing, but my mum's not very well, so I haven't slept all night. Right, then you're not thinking then he's moping around the session, trying to spoil the session because he might not be playing, for example, or he's looking for a move. They takes away all those things. So when they open up, and that can help. But when they don't, you can almost identify certain patterns. If they're tired every Monday morning, it probably tells me they've had a heavy Saturday and I'm slept well on the Sunday.
So, we're doing this from the University of South Wales. Your education, you just said, has given you a wider perspective on things. But the one thing I'll say about you is you're a social character. You make, I assume, friends in the game pretty easily. So you're on the course with Thierry Henry, aren't you?
Yeah.
And you've got him in touch, haven't you? You've been in touch with him since on the FAW course and the others as well. And I always remember as well the day after you played Man City in the FA Cup at Rodney Parade, the lot of them. Just to see him walking on that pitch at that time was just ridiculous.
It was a bit scary at first, I'll be honest.
It was. But then, I think it's Notts County the following Tuesday, I was doing the game and you said, I've had a lovely text off Pep. That makes you a bit different to other managers, doesn't it? No, because there's a way of acting as a manager, I think. And so you've got respect from someone like Pep to say, the fact that he's got your number, you've got his number, is something else.
We still speak now. We still speak now, and obviously I won't go into details, but when his 1,000th game, we spoke, we had a couple of messages as well after that. So it's amazing for me, and we've gone up there, me, my wife and the two boys went up, watched the game, gone in his office. Funny enough, it was against Luton and Rob Edwards was manager. So we went and met Rob on the Friday, done the stadium tour, then went to the game on the Saturday when was in Pep's office afterwards, and then went training on the Sunday. So the players met all the Man City players, were with everyone, and it was just such a special, nice touch from Pep that I'll never forget. My kids will never forget it, and my wife won't forget it. She's some good-looking players at Man City, so she was happy. But yeah, there's.
See what I mean?
But the thing is, education, and I'm not just saying it because we're at the university. The education, to be educated in anything you do in life is important, because you want to make educated decisions on what you do, and you want to be more informed about why you're making those decisions. And that's a little bit why now that I've kind of distanced myself or not approached the Newport situation, because I've got to make a decision based on what I know. Yeah. And I think that helps when you're thinking clearly, you've had an education, or guidance along the way. You know, I've had some good guidance, the likes of Norman Parcell, who has been brilliant. You know, Andy Beattie growing up, even you know, myself and Nathan, but my wife, my great auntie, great uncle brought me up. My dad, mum, they've all been there, but you know, it's been on a steady, a steady scale where it allows you to grow yourself without being, you know, like a copy of someone. I was an only child, so I couldn't copy anyone as well. So it gives you that belief. But in going back to, you know, the big names and everything, I think a bit of a lovable rogue character kind of thing. You know, they can feel themselves around me. They know that they can trust me. When you can trust somebody, it doesn't matter what walk of life you're from, you become friends.
Yeah. And what you find is most of us from a certain era are from similar sort of backgrounds.
Multicultural.
Yeah.
Yeah. Multicultural, brought up on like council estates and what
Likeable
have you.
rogues, I'd call you two.
Well,
These are the same pod.
Lovable rogues.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know about that.
Well, Pill and Ringland did it.
Yeah, exactly.
They, you know, the same
Bainswell,
thing.
I was.
Yeah. Well, there's Bainswell. Is there Bainswell? But it's. I always say it's down to wisdom, right? You've got to learn. You've got to have an understanding. If you've got a level of intelligence, common sense, we say like, you know, you've got to be streetwise. Like, it's nothing worse than not knowing the knowledge of what goes on the street, and then, you know, being able to take and go into like a higher level then, if you like, and have that sort of, that knowledge of how things work. Because the streetwise gives you like who to trust, how to trust. You could read people, you know what I mean?
We still get it wrong, of course.
Yeah.
Because, you know.
Yeah, but more often than not, your alert goes up quicker and things like that on who you can trust, who you can't trust, and things like that.
Well, we'll look with interest to see what you do next, Michael. One thing, what's the highlight of your footballing career so far?
There's been a few. And I'll always go back to Newport because I think they meant the most. You know, making my debut in the Football League was one on a personal level, but I think the bigger effect on everybody I know and around the area I grew up, one was getting back to the Football League whilst a player at Wembley. First time I played at Wembley in my career. Wasn't like Nathan, a serial promoter. We just went up automatically when we did it.
Against all odds, to be honest.
But that one, that's up there. And people ask then about the Great Escape. Where do they both fit in? Now, for me, the Great Escape was probably just that tad more important, because if they went back then, I don't think they would have come back. Not without a rich, and I mean a very rich owner who just wanted to burn some money and get a non-league club, you know, up the leagues.
I remember looking at you on that day, the Great Escape.
When I had normal coloured hair, not grey.
No, yeah. But you were almost like, you were just in shock. You were like, he was very pale. He wasn't like, whoa. You were just like, I can't believe what we've just done.
Not as shocked as Mark O'Brien when he scored.
Yeah.
Well,
we were all stunned by that.
And again, you're going back to one player's practice. Believe it or not, Josh Labadie and Mark O'Brien would always be playing two-touch. You know, whether taking it, volleying it, mostly stitching each other up.
Yeah.
But trust me, it improved their touch.
Yeah.
They would do it every day.
Wow. Yeah.
Head tennis every day. And when he's coming on his chest, he's caught it sweet as a nut.
Yeah.
But
if you don't practice it, you probably don't catch it as sweet as a nut, right?
Of course you don't.
Yeah.
It's
all timing.
It's anything. I'm trying to teach my kid now. My youngest, he's very good with his left foot, but he won't use it. And that's because he's programmed in at the minute, right, let's get on the right and hit it with my strongest foot. Doesn't mean he can't use his left. No. He just won't, because he's not programmed, or he's not getting into his subconsciousness to get it onto his left at the minute. But as soon as he does that, he's gonna improve straight away.
Brilliant.
Next week, join us again for the best bits of Robin Blakey's Commentary Box podcast.